Okay, looks like recording is live. Hello and welcome everyone to Vow of the Knight-Aspirants, The Whispering Mists. This is a game being played in the Open Hearth gaming community. My name is Alexi. I am the GM, also the creator of this game. To find out more about Open Hearth Gaming and the cool stuff happening there, go ahead and check out openhearthgaming.com. This is the rebrand of the Gauntlet gaming community. Still lots of cool people playing lots of cool games here. You can also learn more about Vow of the Knight-Aspirants by clicking on the link below the video. It is a game that I am developing under my game design handle, Cloven Pine Games. I'll just say briefly, though, that Vow of the Knight-Aspirants is a game about young squires in an Arthurian type setting, working to prove themselves worthy of knighthood. They're going on a quest to do this, and the quest is all about finding this elusive and mysterious place called the Tower Perilous. I will now turn it over to have my players introduce themselves. And players, if you would, tell us your name, your pronouns, if you would, and online handle, if you so desire, or a fun fact. And let's go across our character keeper for this. So this is just yourself as a player. We'll introduce the characters in a moment, but just yourself as a player to start. Joe, would you introduce yourself first?
Hi, I'm Joe. I use he, him. I don't really have an online handle. Fun facts. I guess this is my second round of playtesting.
That's true.
With an early version. So I'm like I said earlier, I'm looking forward to seeing the evolution and how some of these new things affect gameplay and such. So
it's great to be playing with you again, Joe. Brandon, you're up next. Tell us a little about yourself, if you would. Oh, you were muted.
Hi, I'm Brandon I'm playing because I love Arthurian stuff and coming of age stories. And those of you who like Star Trek spoofs can look up my show Starship Edsel on YouTube.
Nice.
Which is going on 15 episodes now.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Brendan. Good to be playing with you again. Chris, last but not least, tell us about yourself, please.
Hi, I'm Chris, he, him. I've got nothing to plug. I'm just happy to be here.
Good to be playing with you, too. So now what we're going to do is meet our characters. And for the benefit of any viewers, I will put our character keeper into the stream so we can see these folks. The way characters work in Vow of the Knight-Aspirants is you have two playbooks, a temperament playbook and an aspiration playbook, and you put them together. So let me do a little demo here of what the physical version would look like. We've got, say, your one playbook and your other playbook, put them together. As you can see, they're two halves of a heraldic shield. So let's learn about the characters that we have, including the playbooks that were chosen for them. Joe, please tell us, if you would, about your aspiring knight.
okay, so I have Ava Dumont, who is the playbooks that I'm using are the Tiger, which is sort of a fierce warrior. I think when I read it, I would say might is right sort of sort of vibe. And then the aspiration is the Oak, which is about defending people and such. So so she is a sort of a martial warrior. I dug into your lore a little bit from the mountainous region of Trevenberg. I think I'm saying that right.
Yeah.
Trevenberg. She cut her teeth with her martial skills early, fending off attacks from the Sethlanders.
Mm-hmm.
She, from a look perspective, she has a very dangerous stillness to her. She's one of those people that is almost feral in their stillness until they spring into action. And she has very deep eyes, which reflect her desires for defending and helping those that she wants to help. And she is armed with a wickedly curved sword. And I don't know if this matters, but I kind of like the idea that it's actually a Sethlander sword, and that
Oh, nice.
she liked to fight them with their own weapon, which was kind of a sort of an in-your-face sort of vibe that she had.
That's fantastic.
And then real quick, I'll just say she sees knighthood as her path to ensure that she can protect her people and keep them safe. And when I read the Trevenberg thing, I kind of like the idea that she counts herself among those of her land that, while not disloyal to King Hadithar, would rather not owe fealty to them.
Oh,
So.
that's great. That's great. Yeah, because the backstory is Hadithar came and assisted your people in fighting off the invaders, and then your king kind of bent the knee to him in gratitude. So there may well be mixed feelings among the warriors of Trevenbrig, and it sounds like Eva is someone who's kind of caught a little bit in the middle on that. That's great.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Tell us about the lessons that you start off with based on the playbooks.
Yeah, absolutely. So the lesson from the tiger is, when faced with wickedness, strike without hesitation or compunction. And the oak brings, make a resolute stand, and evil will break itself against you.
Nice. So two kind of flavors of martial resolve. It feels like. You took me up on my bribe to start off with a notch marked, so you get some XP, and also start off with a tarnish marked. So you have your cheer tarnished with abandon from the outset. And
yes, I'm doubling down on not very cheerful, apparently.
Though the way these tarnishes work is they give you a bonus. It's just a double-edged bonus that can cause you to spiral into more tarnishes. We'll be playing out this mechanic and getting a sense of how it goes. There's dark dice involved, so tip of the hat to Trophy and its design here. Cool. Anything else we should know about Ava before we meet our next squire?
I don't think so. I think that's all we'd rather know right now. We can play for more. So
sounds good to me. Then Brandon, please tell us about your character next.
Yes, I'm playing Andromeda, Andromeda of the Isle, but she doesn't use the sobriquet yet because she's not being fully accepted. This is what a great deal of the aspiration is about for her.
Mm-hmm.
The playbooks that she has is the Stag, which is very much it means a person of an august or important lineage. And her lineage is that she comes from the Flickering Isles, which is perhaps a close Arthurian analog to the Isle of Avalon. So it is an incredibly old holy site with its own priestesses and champions and such like. And she is aspiring not only to be a knight, but also to be a daughter of the Morning Star, which are the champions of the Isle. That protect the Isle and that are sent out by the priestesses to do things that need to be done, because the priestesses of the Isle have the power of prophecy.
Nice.
And they often see wickedness rearing its head before it does, and send people to prevent it or to advise those in power. The other playbook so Andromeda has taken also the Hourglass, which is the seer or prophet. She does not have the gift of prophecy the way the priestesses do, but she has, as it were, theirs, because she wields, because of the trappings that she has. So she is seeing echoes of the prophecies that are that are taking place on the Isles.
Oh, that's interesting. So it's not exactly her prophetic gift, but she kind of gets feedback from the priestesses.
Correct. She gets dreams and sendings from the Isle because of her link.
That's fascinating.
Yes, well, and she has an enormous amount riding on this aspiration. Failing it would mean failing to be part of the community of the Isle, as well as not being a knight.
Okay.
And I have some details about that, which we'll reveal in play.
That's
so
great.
her background is, as I said, from the Flickering Isles. She has a solemn look.
Yep.
Because she has been told too many times about tribulations that are coming.
Minus one cheer makes sense with
it's
that.
difficult. It's difficult to be. She has trouble being happy. Moreover, her grandmother was the champion of the daughters, and so somewhat over her mother's objections, she was basically had a sword put in her hands from the moment she could hold one. And has been trained up for this, and as a result is very religious, very pious, and cognizant of the importance of her role. But she missed out on a lot of the fun of being young, and she's a little clueless about a lot of sort of normal things. She is. She's not a tall young woman, but she has an outsized presence. And people listen to her and take her seriously when they might not, given her physical stature.
That's great.
Her weapon is the blue flame of dawn, which anyone who knows anything about the Isles would instantly recognize. It is one of their it's a temple artifact, and it carries the spirit of everyone who has ever wielded it in righteousness.
So at some point, her aspiration is to kind of join with the spirits in the sword.
Yes, that's right.
If she can live up to what she's going for.
Yes, it has been given to her provisionally for this quest.
Nice.
And she hopes to merit it. Her eyes are thoughtful and dark, and people get the idea sometimes that she is seeing what might be rather than what is.
And indeed, she has the Hourglass playbook in the mix. This is great. I'm sure we'll learn even more about Andromeda in play. Can you just tell us real quick the two lessons you have from the two playbooks?
Yes, absolutely. One lesson is it is no vice to take pride in a legacy of excellence.
Mm-hmm.
And the other is knowledge, even of misfortune, is a priceless gift.
Great. Fun. Very nice. If it's all right, we'll move on to the last but not least of our trio of squires. Chris, will you tell us, please, about your character?
Guy Blackwell is a bastard, a low-born bastard who was taken under the authority of the church as punishment for a crime, namely the stealing of holy herbs. He wanted them for, various tinctures and potions, as he is a healer.
Okay.
And forced into a life of crime. He is on this quest because the alternative, I think, is either execution or some kind other penance otherwise commensurate with imprisonment.
This is great. So like, sort of like you're technically on the path to knighthood, just given the nature of the quest, but it's not like you're like super jazzed about being a knight per se. You're more jazzed about not being in prison.
Yeah, no, there was a lengthy verification process when I claimed Dreams of the Spire Perilous, because that's pretty much the only way I could have gotten out of this.
So you just like told them what they needed to hear for that then.
Oh yeah, of course. It was easy.
Oh man. Oh, this is gonna be a fun group.
All right. They have Shifting Eyes, a Bastard Sword, Gentle Eyes, and a Shifting Stance.
Gentle eyes and a shifting stance.
They are, what were the other ones? The lessons was the other thing I needed to read out.
Yeah, I'd love to hear the lessons you've got from your 2 playbooks.
The fox has taught me that only a fool wagers on the honor of strangers, and the chalice has shown me that the first step towards healing is acknowledging one's own wounds.
There's this fun tension to these, where the fox is kind of shifty and mistrustful, and the chalice is very, the chalice is a healer. The chalice is compassionate. The chalice is trying to help people be better. Yeah, that's good. That's very nice. Anything else we should know about Guy Blackwell?
Nothing comes to mind exactly.
Then the next step here is essentially connecting these characters through their lessons. So I'm going to ask each of you which of your fellow squires lives by lessons you admire, and which of them has lessons that you question. So you're kind of evaluating each other's ideals here. You can look specifically at lessons or kind of go on the general vibe. Let's go back across. So Guy, who has ideals you admire and whose ideals do you question?
I think I admire Andromeda for her certainty. And I question the sort of unflagging devotion to might of Eva Dumont.
That's fun. So different flavors of certainty that you have different feelings about.
Yes.
I like it. Sound good to everyone? Andromeda, let me turn to you. Andromeda, which of your fellow squires lives by lessons you admire and which has ideals you question?
Let's see. There's good choices here. I think that Ava's desire for protection is admirable. No, I admire something on both characters. So this is, it's tricky. I think actually, no, I'm going to say that I admire Guy's dedication to helping others. Even if he went about it all wrong. And I fear that Ava is too maybe too harsh in her approach to the world.
Ava, is that all right by you? Okay, because there's a couple people questioning aspects of your approach, but that
Well,
seems
I don't. I mean, I'm happy to flip it the other way too. I mean, because I admire Ava's, desire to protect, but
no. It sounds like
have to
there's
pick one or the other.
yeah. No, I think that
Yeah.
I think that works, and makes for a fun dynamic. Ava, over to you.
Oh,
Whom do you admire? Whom do you question? Thinking about their ideals and lessons.
I think that I think that my gut instinct is that she would admire the. I think the stag and those things come with a sense of honor and duty and those sort of things. So I think she would admire those elements of Andromeda.
Nice.
I just have the sense that her people would have that would be something that they would vibe with.
Oh yeah. Stag is always about a big legacy that carries lots of expectations and can certainly command respect. So that makes sense to me.
And then probably I'm just going to say maybe the tricksiness of the fox is something she doesn't really. She's more of a stand and fight, and you know, wants more into the breach, so to speak. I think so.
yeah. You do not have quite the same approach. I think that makes sense to me. Then we've got our characters. We've got a sense of how they relate to each other. Maybe let's take our break here, and then when we come back, just drop right into seeing these characters in action. Yeah. So let's take 10 and come back at 7 past the hour. Sound good? Okay, I'll put it in the chat too. See you guys soon.
I'm back.
Okay, perhaps we'll kind of get started here, and Chris can rejoin as he returns. So we've built these characters, we've learned about their connections, and now I'd love to, as the GM, hard frame a little bit and drop us into an interesting situation. See how our characters respond. Let us say you have been on your quest together for a little while. You have been following rumors and legends, attempting to locate where the elusive Tower Perilous might be. You're currently in the coastal region of Scontaine, one of the realms of Castany, and here you've heard a lot of rumors about strange goings on. Being that Joe has some technical issues. Can you hear me now? Anything? Chris is back. Good.
Sorry, I'm late.
No
Got
worries. We're
distracted
just
Googling the etymology
gearing
of
up.
bleach.
Joe, are you able to hear us now? Okay. Then perhaps we may all be set. I was saying we're going to posit. You've been on this quest for a little bit, and you're in Scontaine, one of the realms of Castany. This is a sort of coastal region. You've heard rumors of strange occurrences in the town of Traders Bay, and we're going to just start with the three of you having just arrived at Traders Bay. So we'll get some establishing shots of this town. We'll say it's late afternoon, shading into evening. As you are here, you've kind of walked into this port town, and so far seen no people, which itself is odd. And I'm going to ask each of you. Traders Bay, yes, with a D, but yes, that's where you are. I'm going to ask each of you to describe just kind of what establishing shots we have of your character, your squire, your Knight-Aspirant, in this new location, and then ask you to help me paint the scene with a detail about Traders Bay, namely something that answers how can you tell that much of this village has been left unattended recently? That much that is needful in this village has been left unattended based on your environment. Okay, so establishing image of your character and then painting the scene of Traders Bay. How can you tell things have been left unattended? Ava, let us start with you. What do we see of Ava, and how can she tell this about the town?
You hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. I unplugged and plugged back in, and it messed everything up. Sorry about that. So, yeah, I think as we standing on the sort of the edge of the town, or maybe if the trail kind of like winds down towards the coast there,
Yeah.
she's standing silently, just taking in the whole scene, looking for always looking for anything that might be a threat. But from outside, from the others to look at her, she's very still. Does not indicate any that she's even paying much attention to anything. But she's scanning the area, looking for anything that might be threatening. And I think one of the things she notices is that there's a group of fishing boats that have been like beached up on the up beached, but they have not been out. Like the maybe the nets and things that they use are still just kind of hanging there. Like they're not stowed away or put away neatly. They appear to be abandoned or disused.
That's great. Love catching something like that. Andromeda, what do we see to establish you, and what does Andromeda see establishing that that many needful things have been left unattended in Trader's Bay?
Um, Andromeda, as she rides up and overlooks the bay there, we see her put a hand to the star that she wears on a necklace around her neck. And she says, "This place is very cold in the wintertime." And then, then her gaze flickers back to the current situation. And we know that Trader's Bay has been abandoned because there is a warehouse by the wharf whose roof has partly collapsed because of a tree branch landing on it in some wind, and it's not been repaired.
Nice.
So anything underneath there is going to get soaked in the next rain.
That's great. As the three of you make your way down into the town itself, Guy Blackwell, what do we see as far as establishing shots of your character, and then what is Guy taking in that indicates that needful things have been left unattended to in Trader's Bay?
Do we have horses? Has that been established yet?
I don't believe it's been established yet. So you might or might not, depending on whether you think questing
right,
by foot.
Guy, I think, is leading our one pack horse.
Got it. So you're on foot with a pack horse.
Yeah. And they are like barely armored, visible dark dirt just covering their hands and face, and various bundles of like herbs and grasses and things drying on their belt.
Nice.
In terms of details about the town, I think the thing that really sells us on how abandoned this place is the bugs. All of this is a coastal town, and nothing that needed to be drained has been drained in long enough that there are now just flies and mosquitoes everywhere.
Oh, that's great. So as you're kind of like walking through, there's it's like a stone paved street here. Perhaps this place in its ancient past was a port of the Varentine Empire before they left this island. You're walking, your footsteps are echoing on the stone path, but you're also waving hands in front of your faces to try and keep off these swarms of flies that are buzzing around, and suddenly you hear pounding hoofbeats. Not those of your pack horse who's been plodding along next to you, but something moving quickly through the town, and coming round a bend, around a turn in the road, is a beautiful, powerful, ferocious-looking black horse, and it's charging right towards you, or at least you're right in its way, perhaps. Guy Blackwell, what do you do?
Dive for cover. Actually, no, I'm leading the pack horse. Oh, no. Yeah, so I will move out of the way, and I imagine have to struggle with the pack horse.
Yeah, so you have to kind of just
maybe too long.
Trying to drag the pack horse away. I buy it. Let's have the dice tell us a little bit about how this goes. Are you trusting your reflexes to avert an imminent danger?
Maybe. Let me look at the basic moves.
Sounds like it might be like because speed is of the
Yeah.
essence here, right?
Yeah, I think that's the one that fits best.
Okay, so roll 2d6 plus your valor.
My valor is -1.
Oh, roll 2d6 -1.
Well, that is 7 -1.
Ooh, okay.
Oof.
So let's talk about this. You've rolled a 6. If someone wants to assist you, they could spend a heart and bump your roll up to a 7. So that is a possibility. Or we could see what happens on a miss here. So throwing that out to the table in case anyone wants to be guys savior here, or we can also just start off with a 6 and see how this goes.
I think Ava would kind of leap to action and perhaps aid in this. Is that something you want us to? The thought I had was maybe perhaps that she would put herself in between and attempt, and you see kind of sometimes where she'll put her arms up to try to calm and stop to calm the horse, right, to get it to to stop, but that would be her intent anyway.
Cool. Let me see. Guy, are you cool with that?
Yeah, I'm also, just for the record, completely fine with failure.
So, but it sounds like, but Ava has protective instincts, right? She wants to step in. So yeah. I can see that. Go ahead and spend that heart, Ava, and that pushes this move up to a 7. And what that means is that Guy scrapes by, but undergoes an ordeal in the process. So let's talk about undergo an ordeal. This is another move, but it's a move without a roll. It's a move that's just a choice. And the choice is grit your teeth and press on. You hold your ground but mark a tarnish. Or stumble, hesitate, or flinch, giving the opposition an opportunity, mark a notch. So you're basically telling me, do you want your character to succeed at a cost, or do you want your character to fail a little bit with a sweetener of a notch? I'm going to say basically the issue here is like, does your horse get like spooked and run off? So tell me, do you grit your teeth and hang on to your horse, or do you hesitate or flinch so that you lose your grip on your own horse here?
I think I lose my grip.
All right. So in that case, you get to mark a notch, and so what happens is the charging horse has slowed, right, and as he's sort of like, now it's like pacing the road, staring down Ava, who's stepped in the way, but your horse, understandably, was spooked and slipped from your grasp, charging away as the newcomer arrived. Andromeda, let me turn to you next.
So the horse having lessened its pace a moment, I'm going to try and catch hold of the bridle all the time, talking to the horse.
Ooh.
Saying shh, shh,
So there's an assumption here that the horse has a bridle.
Well, no, I did assume. Most horses do.
If it does not, what would you do?
I try to catch hold of the mane.
Okay.
But just to talk to the horse, calm it down, lay a hand on it, say, shh, it's all right, and if it doesn't immediately try to bite me or bolt, then I will fish something out of my pocket and then fish an apple out of my pocket or whatever comes to hand, and offer it up.
Let's forge a path here. So when you forge a path forward, despite difficulty or disorientation, roll plus perseverance. I think you're trying to forge a path towards some friendship with this horse. Does that seem appropriate?
Yeah, well, since courtesy, I guess, doesn't really apply to horses.
It could. So like I would be willing to let you beseech a boon from the horse, but only after the horse has already calmed down.
All right. Yeah, it's kind of perseverance. Nothing else certainly.
So
works.
that's looking like a flat roll.
It's a flat roll.
Unless you have a lesson that applies to it.
Oh, lesson gives some
advantage.
My lessons don't really apply.
That's okay. Then let's see what the dice say.
I don't have foreknowledge of what this horse is going to do. So 9.
Okay. On a 7 and 9, you make it, but you lose something in the process: precious time, valuable supplies, and allies' trust. Work out with the GM what you lose. I think it's like it's the trade-off here, namely that taking the time to calm down this horse, to pull out your apple to offer it, means you're not going after the pack horse that bolted away. So that's sort of that problem is left for another time and isn't kind of trivial to solve given the time you've spent with this new horse. Does that seem legit?
Sure.
Okay. But yeah, it after seeming to be upset, it responds to you, like putting your hand out, stroking its mane, offering the apple, and kind of nuzzles your hand a little bit as it takes the proffered fruit. And you can see this is like I said, a beautiful black horse, a mare with a sort of strange sheen to its hair and mane. There's something a little kind of bluish even in its dark coat, and but it seems affectionate, or grateful and responsive towards you, Andromeda. Ava, let me check in with you. What do you make of all this? What do you do?
I think she might turn to Guy Blackwell and shake her head a little bit at his losing or needing to have the situation turn out like it did. But then I think she's going to approach the horse, and she wants to she sees that blue sheen, and she wants to she's going to stroke her hand on it and touch it, is it like something that comes off, or is it what exactly is it?
Interesting. Go ahead and roll search for truth for me. It seems like you are investigating this horse, and you get to roll with ingenuity. Any lessons apply? Not obviously.
All right, so hang on. So I think that's a flat roll for me.
I agree.
It's a 5.
On a miss, you might still ask one, but be prepared for the worst. Sure. So go ahead and ask your question.
All right. Sorry, I'm trying to find the questions. There it is.
Could you, Alexi?
Yeah.
Given my move, would you say what the consequences are?
Sorry, which consequences?
Of a miss. Of the miss.
Oh, right. Your prophetic insight.
Correct.
Is it all right if we let Joe ask the question,
Sure.
then I reveal the consequences, and then you decide if we're doing a little retcon.
Sounds great.
All right.
So I think what here is not what it seems to be.
Very fair. Yeah, I think as you are trying to investigate the horse more, would it be fair to say you're like presenting as more suspicious of the horse than Andromeda was when she approached with her apple?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's clearly unusual, and yeah, I don't see her as somebody who approaches things with a sense of wonder. So I think it's probably more suspicious.
Yeah. So I think as if like, as if aware of your suspicion, as if kind of reacting to the the potential danger you present, the horse rears back, like you dodge out of the way of its hooves, but then it just like exhales a blast of icy cold that starts encasing you in ice. Like this is bizarre and supernatural. The horse has let out a blast of ice. What is not here is not what it seems to be. This is not a normal horse. This is some sort of supernatural creature, right? Perhaps you've even heard of horses that go on water and land and have these strange elemental properties. Andromeda, checking in with you. You had flagged maybe wanting to roll back the clock on that.
Ava, do you want my help?
I don't think it will help, though, right? It's just a +1.
No. Do you want my help?
Oh, yeah.
That is I have to ask. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so as you are thinking about going forward, you have a sudden vision of the horse rearing back up and blasting you with its frosty breath. And
Ava has the vision.
This is you. Yes. You just saw, you had the sudden premonition that was going to happen, but it hasn't happened yet.
May I ask, is there any indication for Ava that this is like somehow mediated through Andromeda, this premonition?
Yes. You see Andromeda is holding her star in her hand and gazing at you.
Nice.
And then she waves her hand and the vision clears.
Ava, what this means mechanically is we've kind of rolled back the clock, and you get to re-roll, and you can count a miss as a 7 to 9 result. So you kind of, no matter what, won't miss, and possibly you could even roll significantly higher, but there's a floor on how badly this can go, thanks to Andromeda spending foresight on this warning. Does that sound good?
Okay. Yeah, perfect. So try this again.
Let's take that once more around.
Rolled a 5 again. So
that's okay. It's a 5 that counts as a 7 for our purposes. You still get to ask one. I mean, so I think you basically have the same answer, right? This horse is supernatural, but instead of getting it from getting a blast of icy, getting like caught in this cold, right? Like you had the premonition, then you like take a more careful look, and you see like maybe there's like tiny icicles forming around the horse's nostrils, or like like what looked like just like steam rising from its nose, then is like more, it like freezes some insects in the air and they like plink down to the ground. Like you kind of like see this supernatural aspect to it without getting the the sharp end of it.
right? I think she'll turn to Guy and Andromeda and say, "This is no horse."
No. No, glad am I that you were not hurt, says Andromeda. Uh,
What the bloody hell
beautiful.
just happened?
Yeah, Guy, you're like,
Oh.
not fully briefed on what's going on here, I think.
The women of the Flickering Isle showed us something that might happen before it actually did happen.
Where is the black? Did the black horse run past, or is it still here?
No, it's here. I'd like to speak to it and say, "Beauty," addressing the horse.
It kind of cocks its head.
I would. Would you bear me in exchange for my friendship? For a time, knowing that both of us have our ways to go.
Now you are certainly beseeching a boon from
Yes.
this creature. Let me, if it's okay,
Mm-hmm.
pause on that. So we'll resolve that in a moment. But I wanted to shift to a different bit of the scene. So we'll say that you say this to the horse, and the horse seems to be considering it, and then we'll come back and make a roll about it. Guy, there's a like pss, pss, like whisper of someone trying to get your attention, and we'll say like, in your consternation you like backed a couple feet away from the others. Does that sound good to you? Somewhat. So like from like one of the like shuttered windows.
Somebody's got to go after the pack horse.
Yeah, so you had started off, and then like from one of the shuttered windows in one of these nearby houses, there's like a psst, psst, over here, you there.
What of it? Man, I need to work on this accent. Hang on. Yeah, I'll go over to the window and just sort of stand there, not looking, being as inobvious as possible. Like
Nice.
Against the wall,
Yeah, this is the voice from the window says, "You and your friends, you strangers, what are you doing with that creature? Don't you know it's dangerous?"
Danger sits differently for knights, I'm told.
You're the grubbiest looking knight I've ever seen, I'll tell you that for free.
If you must know, we are holy aspirants.
What are you doing in Trader's Bay?
Hoping to resupply, but since we're here...
Listen, if you tell your friends to get out of the way, I might be able to line up a crossbow shot on that thing.
Oh, they're not going to like that. You're going to need another plan, bud.
Interesting. The voice says, I mean, you don't have to warn them, but...
And besides, what the hell kind of crossbow can shoot through a horse made of water?
Have to give it a try. We've got to stop it somehow.
Look, I know you're desperate, but No matter how scruffy we look, this isn't our first supernatural horse.
Is
We'll
that
handle
true? As a GM, I have to ask: is that true?
Doesn't have to be.
Uh huh. What are you
I
trying?
think it's true in spirit, if not in specific.
So tell me what you're trying to do here.
I don't know what I'm trying to do here. Just
All
trying
right,
to get this guy to back off.
So is it reassure someone nervous by promising to watch their back? Just given that you get a heart, you get a heart when you hit that trigger.
I think that is what I think that's what we're going for.
Okay.
Oh, are the triggers in the character keeper, or are they just on the PDF?
They're in the character keeper. It's right under heart.
Okay.
It says
I
when
got
you
'em.
take heart and what you spend heart to do. Nice. Yeah. So the voice behind the window still sounds nervous. He says, I wanna believe you know what you're doing, but this town is under a curse, and you don't know what you've gotten into coming here. Whatever your quest is, aspirant.
As I said, this is not our first time. And as I say that, I think he is completely full of shit, and this is absolutely our first time.
Amazing. Now there isn't just
sundown. If you you can spare that at least.
So your proposal is you're trying to tell this scared, desperate person behind the window to hold off until sundown, because then it will become clear what what your plan is. Is that about the size of it?
Yeah, definitely.
Forge a path for me, please. See if you can get through to this guy. And you since you have folly marked, you get a bonus a dark advantage dice on this.
Okay, let me pick up a third die. That is a 9 on the dice.
And which was highest?
+2. It's a 6 and a... Oh, and the dark one is the higher. So I've got a 6. I mean, here, I'll just show you. I've got...
Yeah.
The big one is my dark die. It's a 3. It is going in the roll, but it's not the highest.
The dark die is not the highest.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
Okay, great. Okay, then that worked out pretty well. You said it was a 9 altogether?
Yes. 9 + 2, so an 11.
Oh, fortune smiles on you. Ask the GM what unexpected opportunity you discover. Okay. So you get through to this person. I think the window opens up, and you see actually there's 2 people in this house. There's a boy a couple years younger than you, who's kind of like clutching a crossbow and seems to have been the person you were talking to. And then sitting at like a table further into this house, there's an elderly woman, and she has the table is covered with herbs and mortars and pestles and bottles. Like she is kind of slowly and methodically just working on some sort of herb craft, right? Seemingly only like barely cognizant of the hushed conversation that her grandson, by the looks of it, has been having with you by the window. Does that work for you as unexpected opportunity coming from forging a path here?
What is the opportunity here?
Opportunity is just there's resources of interest to a herbalist like you inside this house. The boy says, "What's your name?" "I'm Hobart." Oh, he says, "I'm Hobart. What's your name?"
Guy.
Guy.
Always a pleasure.
My grandmother and I are some of the last people still awake in this town.
Sorry, can you cut out what some of the what?
Some of the last people still awake in this town. Am I coming through or not?
Awake.
He nods.
Yes. That's just a very strange thing to say.
That's what he says.
Yeah. Where are the others if they're still here asleep?
He like points to a bed in this house where there seems to be a sleeping figure. He says, "Mother's been asleep for weeks now. I don't know if every time we look in other houses, everyone there seems to be asleep. I don't know if somebody else is still awake, but if they are, they're hunkered down like us."
Thank you.
Are you good with that? Should we cut back to
stay here? I know it's hard, but please, huh?
Oh, I was checking where you're at. It sounds like you had one last thing to say to Hobart, though.
Yeah, basically, stay here. You will be hearing from me again.
Yeah.
And please trust us.
Yeah. I think I won't make you do an additional roll for that unless you really want to, because I think having forged a path to get through to him, he's probably willing to follow a basic instruction like that. Does that sound legit? Okay. I've put some pictures into the character keeper, everybody. Into the NPCs tab, in case you want to be able to refer to NPCs that have started to be introduced here. Andromeda, let's check in with you then. You were beseeching a boon from this horse that is not a horse.
Yes.
Would you like to make a roll for it?
I would, and I think a lesson applies here.
Ooh, tell me about it.
Well, we just had a prophecy hit, so I'm going to take knowledge, even if I'm fortune, as a priceless gift.
That was the gift, right? Okay, yeah. The gift of that knowledge is what's allowed you to try to approach this horse without, being caught off guard.
Yeah, what Eva said about the horse is valuable, but Eva's experience was truly what what told us the answer here.
All right, so you're going to get to roll plus courtesy with advantage.
And I got a 14 over the dice overkilleth.
On a 10 plus, they must grant the boon if they can, or if they cannot, lay bare their heart about exactly why. I think the horse kind of, declines its head and prepares itself for you to swing up onto its back.
I swing gently up onto the horse's back.
Yeah, it's bareback. There's no saddle or gear on this thing.
and I say, and I continue to say, I sense that we will have much to learn from one another, Beauty. And then I look down at Ava and I go, now what?
Ava, what's your reaction to what's transpired here?
Yeah, so she doesn't really know anything about guys, because she's been focused obviously right here. So I think she sees all this, and she's been on the cusp of pulling her sword out, and striking, but had kind of held off a little bit. Just a quick question: would we consider this something that's evil or just supernatural?
I think that's kind of a question about Trevenbrake, right? That's kind of a question of like where you come from. Would a strange horse of this sort be considered evil? And I'm up for you to to tell me one way or another about that.
I think I having looked at the Trevenberg stuff, that their hedge magic stuff is around storm and their I think the legends that she knows of, the appearance of these types of creatures usually heralds something that's so maybe not necessarily evil, but heralds something imminent happening, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's legit.
I think, Ava, that this creature must be linked with this town's strange fate, whatever it may be. And having it as a friend rather than as an enemy may assist us. I'm hoping.
I think so. Against my better judgment, and she kind of resheaths, like maybe the sword had been like halfway out, so she'll resheath the sword. I have to agree with you, Andromeda. I do think slaying this creature immediately would possibly leave us with in a worse position than we are, especially since you've somehow managed to bond with it.
Eva, I thank you for your forbearance. I know that it is very difficult to see creatures such as this as anything but wicked. But something deep inside me tells me that that this creature is not the cause of the town's problems, but something that came along with it for another reason, and maybe the solution. So I thank you for putting up your sword and allowing for that opportunity.
But we must be vigilant, because the appearance of such a creature heralds more, and something that we should be vigilant for.
Where has Guy gotten off to? Guy.
Right here.
Guy is back. So Guy, if you return, you'll see that
found the bloody pack horse, but the locals want this thing dead. I don't think that'll solve any of their problems. But stay on your guard, you two. I should say the locals that are left. It seems everyone here is under some form of cursed sleep.
I think Ava looks at him and says, "And how in the hell would you know that? We just got here."
Oh, I've just been meeting people. You know how it is.
People who are presumably not asleep.
The scared locals will trust anybody.
We should speak to them and see if perhaps there was something that occurred before this strange curse befell. Good townsfolk. I am Andromeda of the Flickering Isles, I should say, pitching up my voice.
Are you just like
Chat with
calling
us
out to
now.
like
I am.
anyone who's around? To see,
I'm calling to anyone who's around, because there are someone who's awake. I am Andromeda of the Flickering Isles. My mother was Angarad, who was the champions of the Daughters of the Morning Star. If there is anyone here who is brave enough to come forward and to help us understand what has befallen your town, that would be most kind.
Okay. It sounds like you might be using your special stag move.
I am courtly manners.
Sort of like broadly targeting anyone who's awake enough to hear you in the town with courtly manners. When you greet someone by sharing your lineage and inquiring as to theirs, roll plus courtesy. Yeah, that sounds all right to me. Go ahead and make that roll.
And I guess I will apply my other lesson since it's there.
Okay, so it is no vice to take pride in a legacy of excellence. Yeah, so there's a real like sense of the weight of that lineage you represent as you declaim it here.
And that is an 11 with my bonus.
All right. On any hit, you make a good impression. On a 10 plus, they owe your family from of old and are willing to honor the debt. Yeah. Okay. Let me see. So from that house that house that you were in, the door opens up and the old woman steps out, and she's staring up at Andromeda sitting mounted on this horse, right? Which is like pawing with its hooves and letting up snorts of cold, right? The old woman stares up at Andromeda. They owe your family from of old and are willing to honor the dead. Yeah, and then I think she like pulls from under her shawl this star, symbol on a necklace, right? And she says, "A daughter of the Flickering Isles, here in Trader's Bay. I never thought these old eyes would see the day. You honor us, child of Anharid." And she makes what would be a like particular type of bow or curtsy that you Andromeda would recognize. Someone could only kind of know if they're connected to the Flickering Isles.
I think it is a crossed arms bow.
Crossed arms bow, yeah.
Yeah. You do, grandmother, you do me too much honor. I do but aspire to be a daughter, and yet I carry that legacy on my shoulders, and on their behalf am happy to accept your assistance. Will you not tell me and my companions what has transpired here?
And from the house, Hobart says, grandmother, be careful. She's on that thing." But the grandmother takes slow but sure steps forward, and she says, "Very well. Perhaps the stars have sent you here to deliver us. I will tell you exactly what has happened in Trader's Bay." And I think that's probably where we wrap up today's session. with the promise of more information when we resume next week. Does that sound all right? Nice. Then let us do a quick round of end of session moves here. I know it's a little. We didn't play a full session, but let's see if we got anything from this. So what you do at the end of each session, first you check your at the end of each session trigger on your playbook, which will tell you what you might mark a notch for. Excuse me. So make sure you can see that. And then in the basic moves, there's the rest of the end of session procedure where you're going to look at one of your lessons and make a choice about it. Yeah. So let's start at the right side of the character keeper with Guy. Guy, tell us about your end of session trigger and whether you hit it, and then talk about what lesson you're picking and what option applies. Oh, you are muted. Chris, everything all right? Should I start on the other side? We're just not hearing you.
I think I did hit it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
mark a notch if you helped someone who seemed like an enemy.
Hostile.
He had a crossbow and everything.
He's a child, but
Yeah. Well, you didn't know that at first. It was just a voice behind the window. Oh. We lost your camera for a moment, Chris, but yeah, you'll go ahead and mark that notch. That makes sense. Chris, we're not seeing you right now, so I might skip over and then come back to you if you're able to rejoin. Brandon, Andromeda, tell me about what you're thinking for your end of session trigger and for the lesson.
The end session, I could go either way. I mean, the difficult truth here might have been that that sometimes you need to ally with something that frightens you.
Yeah, I can buy that.
That this entity is not, things aren't always black and white. And as far as the lesson of knowledge, even in misfortune, that I stepped closer into that.
Yeah, cool. So take a heart from
yes.
living up to that lesson. Perfect. Ava, let me check in with you.
All right. My end of session is mark a notch if you protected someone important to you. I'd say that my companions are important to me. I'd say in jumping in and trying to protect Guy, that would have been a hit on that. So
take a notch from that. Absolutely. And how about a lesson? Is there a lesson you want to make a choice about here?
I guess I just don't feel like either of them really came up much.
We kind of what we saw was you. I feel like we saw you sort of have, when faced with wickedness, strike without hesitation or compunction.
I think we did the opposite of that, though. I think so. Yeah.
So there's the question. One of the options here is you could say, "I'm struggling to fit this lesson into my ideals. Rework the lesson." So there's a way to like, if you want to like change the phrasing, you could choose this lesson and make that what you're doing at the end of session. You could also save that and see if it comes up more dramatically in session 2.
I think I'm going to lean into it in that I have more to learn from that lesson.
Ooh, nice.
I think her people are hard, harsh warriors, and I think maybe she feels like she needs to that while things turned out okay, I think maybe she feels like she was not living up to her the things that she knows and has learned to be true, and she hesitated instead of striking. And while it was okay this time, perhaps that hesitation would be problematic in another type of encounter.
Nice.
So
I like it. And Chris, how you doing? Still fighting through technical difficulties? All right.
I wasn't
That's-
until you said that. Can you
Oh.
hear me?
Okay, we can hear you. Yes. No, we don't have
Yay.
a visual, but we can hear you.
Yeah, I've turned it off. That seems to help.
Okay. So talk about your lessons.
I
Is there a
don't
lesson here that
re-
you want to make a choice about for the end of session move?
I don't really think I hit either of these. Unless I'm calling these strangers a fool.
I mean, are you? Because
Like I've had people wager. I've convinced people to wager on my honor, a thing that you can apparently do as a knight. Suckers.
Yeah.
But I'm also like planning to carry through on that, so I don't know.
If you want to say I embody this lesson more and more in some sense here, right? In some sort of slightly cynical sense, I could give you the heart for it. You could also choose to rework the lesson if you feel like it. If you feel like there's like some tweak that will make it that your character would apply to it. So your call certainly. We can also just kind of note that that lesson exists and has an interesting counter part to your
Yeah,
behavior.
I'll
And
just throw an
say again. Sorry, Chris. It sounded like you were saying something, and then I didn't hear the end of it.
about this and then not change the actual text, but keep it in mind for next week.
Okie dokie. Cool. Well, thank you all for playing Vow of the Knight-Aspirants. Fun to get this started. I love these characters. I'm excited to see more of them. I'll go ahead and wrap up the recording. We'll maybe, if people have a few minutes, we'll do Stars and Wishes after that. But for now, to anyone who tuned in to watch or listen, thanks so much and stay safe out there.